Candy, we got a problem. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. We got a loaded show, and I have a feeling we have a loaded chat room. Good stuff. But with that said, let me go over the topics in general. I'll go to the crew, and we'll get right to it. We're going to talk about the United Football League, the Michigan Panthers beating the St. Louis Battlehawks. We're going to talk about field goals in this game, so that'll be pretty interesting stuff. Carson Wentz off to the Chiefs. Jadeveon Clowny going home to the Panthers. Dallas Cowboys talking with Ezekiel, Elliott, and of course we'll pay tribute to Vontae Davis, who passed away yesterday at the age of 35. On to the crew, we got Smoking Jeremy B. Glad you can make it, Jeremy.
Happy to be here. Another great day to be talking sports.
You got it. All right, we'll talk to Bo.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome. Mel.
Hey, great to be here, guys.
And, of course, we got Travis Sherlock Holmes.
As always, thank you for having me.
And we have the coach, Bono.
Great to be here, man. Good to see you, Scott. Mel.
Always great to see you guys. All right, well, let's
Jeremy.
So let's get, and Candy will be our producer for the night, so she'll be able to go over a lot of information with us. With that said, let's talk about the early impressions of the United Football League. The Michigan Panthers defeated the St. Louis Battlehawks 18-16 thanks to a Jake Bates 64-yard field goal. No extra points, but the way the rule is set up is you have a 1 point at the 2-yard line, 2 at the 5-yard line, 3 at the 10-yard line. So first of all, Jeremy, is there any teeth to the idea that Bates could end up to the line so everybody can go to it? And Josh, I'm well aware of the microphone situation. We're working on a different computer tonight, so we'll just make the best of the situation. All right, so please bear with us, and we'll do the best we can. All right, so there you go. So go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, it's not just that he kicked a 64-yard game winner. He had to do it twice. And the first time, the kick holder was lined up 3 yards further back from the line of scrimmage. So the first time when they called the timeout just before the ball is hiked, he actually hit it from 67 yards. Then they get the timeout done. They move the kick holder back to the right spot, and he hit the 64-yarder. But yes, the Lions have already talked to Jack Bates. It's a regional-based farm system, is the way the UFL is done. Like the Michigan Panthers, they are the farm team for Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Cincinnati. The one in Pittsburgh is going to be, Boston, the two Pennsylvania teams, and so on and so forth. So those teams have the first grabs on anybody coming out of the UFL, just like when the guy came out of the Houston area last year with that team. Dallas was able to grab Aubrey, the kicker, from there. So there's no draft order. It's first come, first serve. So, yes, they do have a shot to get this guy next year, or for this season coming up.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So with that said, all right, let's talk about the early impressions of the United Football League. We'll stay with you, Jeremy, and then we'll go down the line.
Well, they had their record attendance for week 1 because with it being a slow week of NFL football, opening week of baseball, they're up against a lot of established stuff, but they still had a total of 45,634 fans this week. The Michigan team and the other one had the lower end. They were at about 9.3 thousand. The other two games had over 14,000 apiece. So that's actually pretty good numbers for a league in their third year.
Okay, let's go to the chat room. I have a feeling we're going to be busy, and I think that's going to be great. So let's start right up at the top, okay? You know what I love about these guys? You know what? We got some good fans out there. Blake Duncan, looking forward to the show. We are live, which is great stuff. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Okay, see, can't wait for the show. Candy's taking care of it. Thank you very much. Anything that stands out? Yeah, look at all this energy. Man alive, is it awesome? So, kneecap biting. There you go. Jeremy, one of your peeps are on here. We got a packed show tonight. Yeah, we certainly do, Josh. Larry Boo, Scott's microphone. Yeah, we're working on that, Josh, as I mentioned before. Motor City Mad Mouse sing your song. It's legendary. No, you don't want me to sing the song, but we're going to volunteer Jeremy to do it tonight later on. All right, toward the end. All right, so Mikey Schnell. Jay, are you a fan of Mikey Schnell?
Mikey Schnell. I don't know who Mikey Schnell is, so evidently not. If you're talking about Sanders Hill, the quarterback out of Michigan, I'm a fan of him as a slot corner.
Okay. Okay, see, if Panthers had a Panther in their team, but if the Marlins had a Marlin in their team, they'd lose. All right, look at that. Oh, look at this creative stuff out there. Got anything, Blake? I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot from Blake. Then again, he's a lot of energy. And he'll tell you that he had a pineapple snake. I had kosher McNuggies. I've never heard that one before. Hello, Aussie. Welcome to the greatest show on earth. Look at this. All right. Now we go ahead and get to Coach Bono after we go through the comments. No, special teams is your game here. Give me your thoughts about the kickoff situation, and then, of course, whether Jake Bates will see an NFL roster.
Let's start with Jake Bates. I think, obviously he's got great leg strength. He's demonstrated that, and he's been kind of a known commodity for that. This was a guy that came out, was very highly regarded as a kickoff guy. I think went to Houston, was 2 for 3 on extra points there. And so this will be a big year for him. I mean, if he can show that he can be consistent, converting field goals in the areas where you expect to make them, from, I won't even go out to the 40, from the 35-yard line in, you expect as an NFL team to come away with points as long as you don't hurt yourself by turning the ball over or doing anything like that. That's still like the number one proving ground. But, man, when you have a guy that has range, it really it's just a huge advantage to the team. You take into consideration that still a third of the games in the NFL are decided by 3 points or less. So, when you walk out on the field on a Sunday, and I know that my kicker has a greater range than your kicker, that's field position on every drive right there, and it takes pressure off the little bit of pressure off the offense, but it, that line that they have to cross where we say, okay, we know we can go tie this game up, or we know we can go win this game, or we can just come away from this drive with points. It's important. So that leg strength, he's shown that now. We got to see the rest of the year that he can consistently kick and make field goals from the areas on the field where he's supposed to. As far as you mentioned the kickoff rule. I'm sorry, Scott, I know exactly what you were referencing.
All right, so let's go ahead and tell me, by taking the extra points away, you have 3 options, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you have the 2-point play, and then 1-point play in a 3-yard. Do you think the NFL is going to get wind of this and say, hey, this isn't that bad, knowing full well that they wanted to take kicking out of it anyway, but UFL is going to be trying different things.
I don't know. I don't know that the NFL will mimic that because, number one, they don't have to. The NFL is still the premier league. These leagues are great, but let's face it, they're not going to replace the NFL. I do think it's a really good thing for the UFL. I think it's great because it does make them a little bit different. And I mean, I'm a fan of it right now because in terms of the strategy and how it changes the game, and when you make those decisions, whether you go for 1 or 2 or 3, every head coach from high school on up to the NFL has a 2-point chart in their back pocket on game day. Teams coaches have them as well. Well, now, Now you're in that league. You have to legitimately have a 3-point chart. I bet you the analytics people have just gone absolutely nuts with this thing. They love it. It keeps them employed, gives them makes their job even more important.
Okay, let's go to the chat room. Blake Lazinski, question for Smokin. Who do you think will win the Super Bowl next year?
I still think the odds favorite are exactly what Vegas says. It's going to be the Chiefs, the Ravens, the 49ers, and or the Lions, the four teams that got to the NFC Championship and AFC Championships last year. I mean, that's who has the best odds according to Vegas right now.
Okay, let's go. Joshua Bernstein wants to talk to Travis. Okay, question for him. If footballs were replaced by watermelons mid-game, how would it affect the players' passing accuracy, and would goalkeepers have to wear helmets for safety? Yeah, I know your expression is exactly what mine are.
Put down the weed, man. It's that time of night, but I understand. But no, I got no answer for that one.
All right, Joshua, he's taking the fifth. All right, Blake Lazinski, Coach and Mel, were you able to set Billy up with a team in Europe? I know Billy Reagan Jr. You've been in contact with him.
I did. We're working on that still. I mean, he's on trying to get some lists. The teams that I have the most direct contact, they already have the roster set. So they weren't looking for anybody right now, but they're aware of them.
Okay. Good. And Steve says it's good questions being asked. All right, with that said, let's bring back Travis where he should be able to answer the question we put in front of two other people about the field goals. All right, so go ahead. You know the drill. I don't have to repeat myself, right, Travis? 1, 2, and 3. You know the distances. What are your thoughts? And then give us an opinion on Jake Bates.
Well, no, the extra point thing is obviously it's interesting, and a lot of the things that the UFL and the old XFL and all the other FLs did have always been interesting because it's like it feels like NFL blitz to me. And for any of those who used to play that old game, hey man, that's what it's like. It's different enough that it keeps it intriguing, it keeps it interesting enough that the NFL may potentially have a legitimate, maybe not, it may be a beneficial developmental league in some ways. We've already seen how they've essentially pulled the NFL kickoff rule from the XFL, UFL, whatever you want to call it, and maybe it will help them find out what things work. It's like the testing ground, we'll call it. So I'm intrigued by it just on that because the NFL is a very slow moving league. It's like a government. Whereas the UFL is like a private company and they can kind of just do things their own way and just kind of break stuff and just see what happens. And it's interesting in that way.
I'll turn it over to Bo.
Yeah, I mean, it's it adds an interesting twist to it. So I don't hate that adaptation of it. And then, of course, as far as the kicker, I mean, he's definitely going to get a shot in the NFL. You hit twice in a row from 64, and then that second kick that actually counted hit the net, right? So that would have been good from 70. So it would be hard to believe that he doesn't get a shot.
And last but not least, Mel.
Yeah, the rule is it's okay. I still think they should have the option to kick it. I understand why they're probably not doing it. Gives you another offensive series. See how these guys are going to perform under pressure. But still, for the kickers, there's opportunities. That's an opportunity lost for a kicker. I mean, I don't know however many touchdowns are scored in the game. That's one less kick that a kicker will have. What I find more interesting is that the NFL came out and changed the rule on kickoffs, and because they want more kickoff returns, so they're doing an adaptation of what it was either the USFL or XFL. One of the teams did last year, which they went away from. And they're still kicking the ball off from the 35-yard line. I'm watching the UFL game. I think they kicked the ball off from the 20. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you want more returns, you have to penalize or punish the team for kicking the ball in the end zone. So if you want to keep the kickoffs at the 35 because you don't want those guys to have that extra 15 yards to run down the field and have that momentum. I mean, if it's a touchback, then the offensive team will get the ball at the 40. Everybody plays field position football. And the last thing you want to do is you don't want to give up that kind of field position, because say you do stop them and they punt, then you're pinned down more than likely inside your 10. So if they want more returns, you have to do one or two things. You either have to move it back like the UFL did, move it back to the 20 so the guy can't get it in the end zone, or at least it's going to be very difficult for him to get it there. Or you have to make it punitive. And that way, if they kick it into the end zone or kick it out of the end zone through the uprights, whatever it is these guys are showing off, then the offensive team, the receiving team, will get the ball at the 40. It doesn't take rocket science. What they're doing is not going to create more kickoffs. That's not. They can still kick the ball in the end zone. And a lot of guys make the team on special teams. Now you really don't have an opportunity to see how these guys can move. Now you don't have – the kickoff return is like – it's like going up the freeway backwards or on the wrong way, okay? And there's little smart cars, there's little mid-size sedans, there's large sedans, small SUVs, large SUVs, and then there's some 18-wheelers. The fridge was on kickoff return. And you get some of these guys going down there full speed, a lot of things can happen. But you have to be able to – the kickoff return guy has to be able to set up those guys in order to make those long returns. And I don't think there's enough room for him to set up the blockers to be able to. Now, you might be able to just bust it through there. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, this is uncharted territory. But I don't think this rule is gonna give them, is gonna have the results that they're looking for.
Okay, you know what? We're going to go to Blake Losinski's question to Jeremy about the Dolphins, and then after that, we're going to go to a station break with Candy. Go ahead.
What was the question about the Dolphins?
Back to smoking, Jeremy. I think the Dolphins will win the Super Bowl next year.
They still need a lot of work. They lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. They also lost some offensive side. I think their offense will always be potent as long as they got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But that defense, they got a big hole in the middle of the field that they have to replace. Christian Wilkins. They lost a couple linebackers and a safety. I think they're going to struggle defensively to stop teams this year.
Okay, now we go to a station break, Andy.
If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, please click it. And I don't know why you haven't subscribed already. You should have, but please do so. Please also visit our website, southfloridatribune.com. You can email us show ideas at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. You can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcast, iHeartRadio, Google, or Apple, any place. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call Scott, 954-304-4941. Back to the program. Scott?
All right, well, with that said, back to the chat room. We'll go to Joshua Bernstein. All right. Question for Smoking. Boy, Smoking, you're getting a lot of stuff tonight. If football teams were required to have a mascot on the field at all times, what type of mascot would each team choose, and how would it impact the game dynamic? God, that was good.
It wouldn't. And I don't get the nature of the question, because having a mascot on the field at all time would be an extra thing for them to have obstacles around.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, let's keep it rolling in here. All right. So Blake Losinski says, I'm a rocket scientist. I know what I'm talking about. All right, well, there you go. I'll tell you, we got some intelligent people in here. We are here every night. Candy, of course, we're subscribed. Very good stuff. All right. Which Candy is talking? Is it Skittles or M&M? That was funny. I don't know, Candy. You might have to answer that one. Are you Skittles or M&M?
Oh, that's a tough one. It depends on if I feel I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to that one. I'm going to leave that one alone. You could be the judge of that, Scott.
Well, I'm going to take the fifth on it because these guys are too smart and we have a lot of stuff to get to. So at least we put them all up there, and we'll let the audience decide as they continue to pay more attention. But these guys, well, you know what? I got to tell you, I like Skittles too, Blake. All right. And Bo is having some issues with Comcast. Don't worry about it, Bo. We'll see if we can get all figure it out next week, but we appreciate you being on anyway. So I knew that you were having some issues. I'm glad you got the first stop again. No big deal. So with that said, a few more topics I want to get to. Carson Wentz has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs to be Patrick Mahomes' backup. Do you like it, Jeremy?
It's a vet presence. It's somebody that if he goes down, he can come in and a spot start, but he's not going to be the starter, and he might see the field for what, 3.5 quarters all season, because Pat Mahomes will play hurt.
Okay, well, back to Joshua. Boy, I'll tell you, he's a real big fan of yours. Candy, throw that up there. Smoking Jerry. All right, let's see what this one's all about. He's on the air, boom, with style and flair. What's a voice that's smooth and inside grad? Look at that. How do you like that? That should help your self-esteem. Not that it needs a whole lot of work, but it doesn't hurt. All right. Anyways, Coach, we'll turn it over to you. Carson Wentz. You know the question. Was it a good fit?
Yeah, I mean, just like Jeremy said, he's a veteran presence. Let's face it, if Mahomes gets hurt long term, he's an irreplaceable player. So better off having a veteran quarterback that can at least manage a game and has been in situations.
Yeah, I think the one thing about Carson Wentz, as long as he's got good coaching and a stable offensive coordinator, we know about Andy Reid. I think this is probably a decent fit for him. I really do. Andy Reid doesn't get it wrong with too many quarterbacks, especially when they're in their system. Bear in mind, they won a championship with Chad Henne as the backup, and Chad Henne retired on top. So there you go. All right, so we'll turn it over to Mel.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose somebody at that position, it's always good to have somebody with 90 some odd starts under their belt. At least he's not going to be, it's not going to be too big for him. The situation's not going to be too big for him. He's played in big games. I mean, at one time before he got hurt, he was the leading candidate for MVP. So we know the guy has some skills. Now, since that time, a lot has happened with him. He's digressed quite a bit, but I think with Andy Reid having that insurance policy, the Holmes has been very durable over his career. But to have somebody like him at the price that they got him at, it's just the rich keep getting richer. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make another run at it. They want to. They want to what is it? They're going to win to be their third in a row. Is that what they're trying to go? They're trying to three-peat.
Yeah, correct.
They're trying to three-peat. They're serious.
Travis?
I mean, you already mentioned the fact that they had Chad Henne as the backup, not last year, but the year before last.
Right.
And honestly, they probably don't get to that championship that season if Chad Henne doesn't come in when Pat Mahomes gets hurt and he has a 90-yard touchdown drive against my Jaguars. And yeah, right. That happens. They win the championship that season. Henne retires. Then last season, they didn't really need him, but then they had Blaine Gabbert as their other backup, another former Jaguar great. And then now this might be the best backup quarterback to Pat Mahomes that they've had out of the three of them. And now you have Carson Wentz, who has experience in that system since he played in Philadelphia with Doug Peterson. So,
Right.
hey, this is probably this is a great little move for a veteran presence who already has experience in your system. Good job. The rich keep getting richer.
All right, Steve. This question is for you. Are you in the Keys? It looks so nice out. Come on, Mel.
So am I in the Keys? It looks so nice out. Yeah, no, I'm at home.
He's at home. That's one of the nicer places in Atlanta where he's stationed at. So there you go. Great view in Atlanta. What a big city, lots of good views. Okay, now Joshua Bernstein. How can Kansas City Chiefs maintain momentum, maintain their dominance in the AFC West, and make a strong push for another Super Bowl in the next season? All right, well, you know what? I'll let every one of you take a crack at this one. But I'll start off with it to begin with. You got a great coach. You got a great quarterback. You have a great receiving core. They can only get a little bit better. I know they recently re-signed Edwards-Helaire, I believe is where well. So we'll start off with Coach Bono to answer Josh's question.
Yeah, try to keep as many of those pieces as you can, and try to get better with the pieces that are around Mahomes. I think continuity is a good thing. They kept Spags is back. Joe Cullen, the D-line coach, who has been a coordinator in the league, was interviewing. He's back. They're looks like they're going to, been able to keep most of their free agents, or at least the ones they wanted, and they've got a formula. Keep Mahomes healthy. Keep getting better on offense, and continue to win. They've got a great thing going.
Okay, Jeremy.
Well, they have a couple of things going for them. Number one is Pat Mahomes. Number two is Andy Reid. And then let's not forget Steve Spags, Spagnolia. That defense really saved that team the most, because the receiving core was not the best wide receiving core. As a matter of fact, statistically, it was the worst receiving core, and their best receiver is probably going to jail after what happened Saturday night at 1:53 a.m. He fled the scene of an accident.
Oh, I agree. Okay, Travis.
Yeah. That's. I don't know. Goodness gracious, Brett Beach has done a great job at building that team's defense, mainly on the backs of, especially the secondary, mainly on the backs of their draft classes. They've gotten a lot of that mid-round draft picks, and they've done a lot to build that up. So they end up losing Snead this past season, or this past offseason, and they're more likely than not going to draft another cornerback in those early rounds, or early to mid rounds, and kind of just make that up and do the same thing again. So they are really good at drafting. They're a really good draft and develop team. The way that they're going to stay ahead of that is to continue drafting and replacing. And as long as you have that mutant Pat Mahomes, and you continue to evolve in the way that they have, because they've evolved 3 different iterations of that team, and they keep winning championships in spite of, I think they're going to be fine. They just keep doing it.
Okay. All right, everybody I've left out? Everybody I've left out? All right, I guess. No?
You're muted.
Oh,
no,
yeah, Mel,
I don't know if you muted yourself, but we didn't. Yeah, Mel, you're muted. Okay, try again. No, Mel, still some issues.
Can't hear you at all, Mel.
Mel can't hear you at all.
Mel. Yeah, I didn't take lip reading in college, so let's try to do the best we can so that.
Can you hear me now? There you
yeah,
go.
well, now we can. All right, keep going.
So sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I was trying to look at these comments and I logged out.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
But it's first of all, they got to be hungry. They got to maintain that hunger. They got to remember how difficult it is to win, how hard they had to work to win the first 2 Super Bowls that they won. Sometimes you get complacent, but I think with a guy who is driven as Patrick Mahomes, I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. A guy like Travis Kelce, I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. And Andy Reid, I think he wants to try to do something special. So there's going to be some luck that they have to stay healthy. And had to understand that each and every week when they play, they're going to get the very best of their opponent because they are the defending, reigning Super Bowl champions. Winning 1 is not cheap. Winning 1 is not easy. Winning 2 is not easy. Winning 3 is going to be 3 times as difficult. Winning 3 of them in a row. But if any team can do it, they're a team that can do it because they're built to do it. They got a young quarterback. They got a great coach. Their defense played a lot better last year than it did the previous year, and is probably only going to get better. And offensively, I think they're going to get better. Now they're going to have, they might have a situation at the wide receiver position with everything that's going on in the news, where they might have to get another wide receiver. I think they thought they kind of shored up that position when they went and grabbed the kid out of Arizona rather, and then now they have the situation with their wide receiver that they got out of SMU. So that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and Blake Losinski, I realize there's a few technical issues today. That happens in this business, so we do the best we can to avoid them. But you know what? when in our industry that you'll have shows like that. So the way I look at it is what it is. So, so we know that. All right, I'll go ahead and mention some of these comments that, and we're not even going to run them around the horn because I have other topics I want to get to. All right, yeah, I guess that Patrick Mahomes is underpaid, right? Blake needs 100 million a year. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. He'll probably get that with his endorsements and all that. So I think he's doing pretty good. He's not. I'll tell you one thing, Blake. He's not Latrell Sprewell. He can feed his family. Okay. So with that said, yeah, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, you know what? They got bigger issues right now. They're trying to get their stadium situation resolved, and they've threatened to leave Kansas City if they can't get those situations worked. And the Royals are trying to build a new ballpark. So we'll probably have more word on how that vote takes place at a later date. So, that pretty much is the nature of that. We got two more things I want to get around to. Enjoy the energy, and I repeat, energy in the chat room. And you know what? One thing I like about these guys, okay, is they do come across as comedians, but if you get to know them on a FaceTime call, you'll understand that the word comedian definitely applies to this group, and I enjoy their energy and participation. So, hey, you know what? That's what keeps this show going. We like all the different personalities and all that, so it's all good. All right, let's talk about Jadeveon Clowny, 31 years of age. This guy's revived his career with the Baltimore. Pardon me? Okay, let me go back to it. So, Jadeveon Clowny, he's 31 years of age, revived his career last year with the Baltimore Ravens, is joining the Carolina Panthers. He's born in Rock Hill, South Carolina. He's had an injury-riddled career, and now will be joining his sixth team of his career. He signed a 2-year, $20 million deal, and he'll wear the number 7, the same number he wore at the University of South Carolina, which obviously was retired. So let's take it to the top, Mel. Good fit. Jadeveon Clowney's going back home.
I mean, the Panthers are, they need help all over the place. So, I think he went where he could get the most money, to be honest with you, because if he wanted to go somewhere where he had a good chance of winning a Super Bowl, Carolina is probably not the place. So it's a good fit for him because he gets to go back home. He gets to be close to home. That's probably he's going to get paid the most money. I think we've talked about Jadeveon Clowney a long time ago, and he made a name for himself off that one play against the University of Michigan, and he rode that all the way to being the number 1 pick in the draft. And when he was in Houston, and you're on the other side of J.J. Watt, you should have a lot more production. Now he did stay dinged up a little bit where he didn't get out on the field much, and then I think he ended up getting traded to Seattle, and just kind of bounced around trying to get a paycheck from that point on. I mean, the guy getting off the bus, looks like the real deal, looks like Superman getting off the bus, but he seems a little. To me, he always seemed a little tight in the hips. Didn't have great bend. Doesn't have a huge repertoire of moves to get to the quarterback. We know he can run fast, and that's so he's got all the all the measurables. He has all those. It's always just been a heart thing with him. How bad does he really want? And I think right now it's just a money grab for him. He had a decent year, I think, 8.5 sacks or something like that last year with Baltimore. He complained, crying over there at Cleveland. I mean, heck, if you want to resurrect your career, you're on the other side of Myles Garrett. Go after the quarterback. I mean, you're dealing, you got one-on-one all the time. They're not going to, you should be able to, he should have been able to get 15, 16 sacks over there, but it didn't happen. So you just have to question, his true love for the game. But like I said, good for him. He's going to make a little money. He's not making, top tier money, but he's going to make, he's making good money for himself.
All right, Joshua, I need a little bit of clarification, of your wall. Not a matter whether I missed the question or not. I need you to really go out there and give us clarification, and then I'll send it to Coach Bono. Some of these things that we ask about, so here we are. What key lessons or insights from your extensive coaching career have had the most profound impact on your approach to leadership and team development? and then Blake Lozinski mentions, do we need a wall? So let's go to Josh's question, and this one's intended for you, Josh. I go over as many of these things I can. I just have to make sure that I'm able to see them in a way that these guys will understand them. So if that's what you're asking, Coach, the floor is yours.
That's pretty, that's a great question, and Josh, thanks for asking that. I think I've had an opportunity to learn and work under a lot of really, really great coaches. So to pick one or two is not easy, but the first person that comes to mind is Tom Coughlin. That's who brought me into the league. And then the second one was my mentor was Frank Gans Sr. And having the opportunity to be Coach Gans's assistant for 2 years, the only assistant he had in his 25 years as a NFL coach was a huge blessing for me. I learned a lot, and I feel like that's where I kind of got my PhD, for lack of a better way of explaining it. Coach Gans really opened my eyes to a lot of things in terms of how I saw the game, and it affected how I taught the game and looked at a lot of different things differently because of that relationship. But, worked with a lot of really good coaches, so, but if I was just going to name two, Coach Coughlin and Coach Gans.
Very good. Okay, Josh, hopefully answered your question. Now that you're still in front of me, Coach, why don't we talk about Jadeveon Clowny? Good fit for the Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, just going home for him, I think it's a win-win. Mel said it. That Carolina needs they need players. So to be, I don't know how much gas he's got left in his tank. I mean, this dude has been playing for a long time. I know he's been hurt, but he's been on rosters, and gotten contracts. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is like year 18 or 19 for him. I mean, playing 3 years in the National Football League that's significant. Not many guys make it to the 3-year mark. That's
Right.
that's why that's that number for vesting for the pension. They didn't arbitrarily pick that. They set that up so that the house could win. So to play 3 years is significant. To get 5 years is you've had a great career if you can play 5 years. Very, very few people get to that 10-year mark, and then anything above and beyond that, just incredible. So man, respect for him, just for him having the ability to continue to go out there and do it. Mel and I always talk about, what's that price tag to get a guy off the couch? I mean, I don't know what that is, but when you got 18 years in, I give him credit.
All right, to answer your question, Blake, what happened to Bo? He was having issues with his cable, so that's why we lost him. But I'm glad we were able to go out there and get him out with their first topic. All right, with that said, we'll turn over to Jeremy to talk about Jadeveon Clowny.
Jadeveon Clowny, he was looked to be a blue chip prospect coming out, and he hasn't lived up to the bill with the Texans, the Seahawks, anybody. He's had double-digit sacks, once in his career so far? And when you played for the Browns, like Mel said, he was opposite Garrett, and as many double teams as Garrett did, he only had to go up against a single guy in coverage 9 times out of 10, because they also had good D tackles like DJ Reader, who just came over to the Lions.
Right.
So it's crazy.
Jeremy, he's never had double-digit sacks.
Never. Okay, I thought he did 1 year. Was it 9.5 he got?
2 years, he got 9.5. Yep.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that technically is 10 sacks. He just split the 10th one with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's still a 10th sack. So I just don't see him being a great presence other than some vet leadership at this point for the Panthers, which they desperately need after losing Brian Burns.
Okay, Jamie, we have an unusual request, but I know that you're a team player. That Joshua Burstein is asking to do. He devised a song that he wants you to sing. So do the best you can. Okay, this is the first part. Then we'll put the second under continue.
I don't have a tune to sing by. I may be a team player, but I also don't like to butcher stuff. I don't even have a tune in my head to go by.
Okay, well, you know what? Joshua, I asked him if he doesn't have a tune. Those are the words for it. I'm sure Joshua will find us a voice person to do it. I do like it for the Motor City Mad Mouse show, which will be on, by the way, tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time. My guest for that show will be Adam. I think, geez, Lichtenstein for the Miami Hurricanes. So here's the other part to it. Josh will find somebody else, but it won't be him. All right. But that's the song. We'll find somebody to do the voiceover. But Joshua did ask me to run it by you. If you don't have a tune, hey, I respect the fact that you'll do a lot, but I get it and I'm okay. So he's trying to push you. Unfortunately, it ain't gonna work, Josh. We'll talk about it tomorrow when we FaceTime. With that said, we'll turn over to Travis Holmes. Clowny, good fit.
I mean, I think it's the best fit he's going to find for his bank account. So yeah, I guess it's a great fit. They pay the man what $10 million a year. He gets to go home. He gets to see his family every day, every night. Gets be around his friends. That's a great situation. And from the Panthers, they have the fourth least cap space of all NFL teams right now. Still trying to get through that so they can get a resemblance of a defense. I mean, they are struggling right now. I'm not going to pretend that that's going to be a good defense or a good offense, but they do have a good defensive coordinator, and there is a potential for at least a solid defense there. I have no idea what's going to go on with that offense. So again, it sounds like a great fit for someone who gets to spend time with their family and retire into the sunset, I guess.
All right, well, Jesse Stuber, welcome to the show. We appreciate it. So, all right, and of course, this is a good point by Orlando Escribano. The tackle against Michigan brought him a whole career. That's true. I saw that tackle. That was a vicious hit. It really was. So,
Guy missed the block. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, all right, but you know what? The guy did miss the block, but let's not kid yourself. When you look at that tackle, it was a crunching blow, and it did put him on the map. It really did.
His eyes were closed. He slanted right into the running back.
But let me ask you a question, Mel. Hold on. Do you think that the average
as much as everybody else?
Yeah, but do you think the average football fan is going to even know, anyways, that the guy's eyes were closed? No, all they're going to remember is a tackle.
I get it.
Okay, good. Then you know what? You can stay on here because we got a running back situation for you to address, okay? Dallas Cowboys and free agent running back Ezekiel Elliott, who's 28, have mutual interest. Tony Pollard departed as a free agent. What do you think about a reunion now in Big D for Elliott?
I mean, Zeke is probably not going to regain the form of his first 3 years in the league. I think he's lost a couple steps. He can get there. He can get the tough yardage for you. He also has proven that he can catch the ball well out of the backfield. I think it'd be good for him. Obviously, they're up right up to the limit as far as cap space is concerned. It's not going to be a huge deal. I don't see them giving him more than probably the veterans minimum. But they do need to, get a running back. They do have a problem now. They did have the guy that they drafted last year, whose father is a coach on the team. I think he went to Kansas State or something like that. A young guy, and they may have another young guy. The one guy whose father coaches on the team, I didn't see him get much action in the backfield. I don't know if he played on any teams or anything like that either. But they do have a void there. I mean, they're going to have to address that, whether it be in free agency with a couple signings or if they're targeting somebody in the draft.
Okay, let's go over to Travis. But Travis, this is a good question. So this one's targeted at you. The thoughts of the Dolphins playing in Brazil. There's a big, heavy Brazilian population in South Florida. There really is. I know in Deerfield Beach, especially, there's a lot of Brazilians. But they're just curious Josh is curious to see what you think about this.
I mean, no, it's just another international market as the NFL continues to expand their reach, and they're doing a good job at identifying which team should be where. And I guess to his point, they're putting the Miami Dolphins in Brazil, which will be a good place for that community. Which they put the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, where Shad
Right.
Khan just happens to own the stadium and have hotels there. Makes total sense. Yeah, it's like they're doing a good job putting these teams in the right communities that where they're supposed to succeed. And I would expect nothing less of a whatever it is, billion-dollar organization, this, monstrosity that the NFL is. So I see no wrong in it.
Great question, Josh. All right, now to the other half of what we were talking about. A reunion in Big D for Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys. You see it as a good potential fit.
I mean, this sounds like the Jadeveon Clowny situation all over again. And my comments almost are very similar. It's like, hey, all right, he may go back to Dallas, and maybe I don't even know. I can't even pretend that I believe that they would win something. But they'll try to make some noise. We kind of know that this is the end for this team. Either they win it all or they don't, and everybody's gone. I mean, because that seems to be that's the trajectory that we're on right now. Last year of a contract for the coach, quarterback essentially is pretty much guaranteed, more likely than not, to be a free agent next year. And
Right.
you have maybe Zeke going back, as he hasn't been his 2 years ago self for since. Great, I guess. Sure. I don't know if it moves the needle or anything. I mean, it's not going to stop you from drafting a guy.
All right, Jeremy, two-part question. Number one, this one, Elliott, and then I'm going to turn over Orlando's question over to you as well.
All right. Well, Zeke going home might be good for him. He did have his best years there, but I think his best years are behind him. I think
Okay.
he needs a running back like Pollard to be that 1-2 punch because he just doesn't have the speed. He lost the step. He isn't even a goal line threat anymore like he was. So it is what it is. It's where he'll fit. And their goal line is not as good as it once was.
All right. Okay.
So, and then the other part where he says, why is Detroit in Germany then? That had to do with the whole London question that was asked earlier. Detroit's in Germany because the London dates are taken up.
I mean, there's a solid population of Germans in Michigan also. Like, that's since the 1800s. I lived in Michigan for 6 years. Like, that's
Okay.
also a
But,
thing.
but I'm just saying the first 3 games that Detroit played overseas was in London. And they're
Right.
2-1.
Right.
They have,
Right.
they have a good following of fans in London already. They're trying to make it a worldwide market. So they're going to be moving teams around to gain interest in those other countries.
Right, but the hope is that that's going to be their home country, just like the Jaguars' home country is London. If they have to have a secondary home, kind of that thing. So I understand the logic of it, at least.
Yeah, Orlando, if I'm understanding what you're saying, okay, I believe you're probably talking about Frankenmuth, right? Is that correct? Christmas Town, Frankenmuth? Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, Coach Bono. I'll talk about Ezekiel Elliott. That's it.
And unmute yourself, Coach.
Thank you, Mel. I kind of feel like Travis was onto something where he started saying we're talking about the same type of guy, same situation. Like with with Wentz and Clowny and now Elliott, it's like you're having a fire sale, right? And those guys aren't long-term players. They're stopgap players. You have a hole in your roster. You have an immediate need. There's a veteran guy out there that's available that you're not going to have to really break the bank to go get. And look, in at least 2 of the cases, there's sentimental reasons too, right? Zeke going back to
Right.
Dallas, Clowny going to Carolina. So, I think it's all basically the same deal. They should be beneficial on both sides, but let's not lose sight of what these are. They're just, they're transactions, short term, meant to fit an immediate need, to fill an immediate need, or cover up somewhat of a weakness.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a band-aid right now, unless the Cowboys can find a hidden gem in the draft. All right, Joshua, to answer your question, when it's smoking Jeremy going to be on the professor and pupil, let me give you the story on that. And I'm glad you brought it up, Joshua. I'm currently restructuring the show to appear on Thursday nights. So the way the scenario is going to turn out, okay, George Icorn and I are both going to be on that show with Jeremy, and we're working on Spencer Tomset as well. So you're going to have two professors, two pupils, and we'll add other people as we go along. It's just a matter of me trying to go out there and coordinate the times and see where they fit with any potential programming. But that's a good question. Okay, Josh, I'll give you more information as I get it, but that's how I've sketched it out right now. I hope it gives you some basic clarification as well. As far as Zeke is concerned, well, here's the deal, okay? They need some help. It is a Band-Aid. And there's one thing I forgot to mention earlier about the Carson Wentz, Patrick Mahomes tandem. I think the best quarterback tandem ever was Bob Greasy and Earl Morrall, and they're the ones that were, I know a lot of people weren't even alive back then, the millennials, but if you remember the perfect season, Bob Greasy got hurt, Earl Morrall took over, Bob Greasy went in, and they completed the only championship perfect season ever. So, you can look at backup tandems, and that's the one that comes to mind. All right, one more thing I want to get to tonight, and that's this. Unfortunately, former Pro Bowl cornerback Vontae Davis died at the age of 35. Right now, though, there was no foul play suspected. He was found dead at a residence in the South Florida community of Davie. Jeremy, what do you know about it? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that was the biggest thing that I knew about it. There was no signs of foul play. It's another loss. Until the autopsy comes out and we see what it is, we don't know what killed Vontae Davis. It looks like it's a natural causes thing. So until we hear more, until the details are released, you really can't speculate.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, Travis.
That's rough, man. Immediately I'm like, dude, I had to Google it. I'm like, wait, he's not that old. Like, gosh, it was just a rough, just a wake up, just like when anyone dies young, man. And I'm talking about if you're not in your 70s, 80s, like, goodness gracious, that's obviously a rough thing. Because prayers for his family, for Vernon Davis, their family, like it's just, man. But yeah, no, like Jeremy said, no foul play. It just sounds like something happened, and I guess we'll wait for more information when they do the autopsy.
Okay, Coach, when you see a player die this young, what enters your mind?
Oh man, I hate to see it. My first thing that entered my mind, what happened? What happened? This one hits close to home. I was in Miami when we drafted Vontae, and had a chance to work with him for 3 years. He was a super talented player, and he graduated from special teams very, very quickly. But he had some highlight plays when he was on there as a gunner, and always enjoyed being around him. Great football family, and I just remember him as a really good, hardworking kid. And it's a tragedy to lose anybody that young, and it breaks my heart. And again, prayers out for his family, and I hope that it was maybe some type of natural causes, that it wasn't anything else, because it's hard enough already, man. It's just you hate to see lose good young people.
All right, Orlando Escribano says he found him in his gym. Sounds like a fit guy. Well, if that's the case, then indeed, it could answer a lot of questions. Anybody else want to add to it? Yeah, if he was in his gym. All right, we'll turn it over to Mel. Vontae Davis.
Obviously that was, as you get older, you start to face the fact that you're not going to be around forever, and you see these guys that you played with or that you watch play on TV, and you see they pass away at such a young age. You wonder what happened. That's the first thing you want to know. What happened? What was football? Did football have something to do with it? Did football contribute to it in some way? It's unfortunate. The way that I remember Vontae Davis was from his time in Buffalo, when at halftime he decided to retire, and that's kind of how I was like, man, is that same guy? Because
Yeah, it is.
That's what I was thinking. And
I
so
forgot about that.
I had to Google it, and I said, "Yep," and I knew that was Vernon Davis's brother, and he showed support for his brother when all that happened. So, in a way, you want it to be a natural cause, but then in another way, when you get to be my age, and guys are checking out left and right, you're like, you're wanting something to have been the reason why this happened, I guess, because I'm trying to get to 150. And that kind of messes with my psyche a little bit when, guys way younger than me are passing away. But obviously, my heartfelt condolences to his family, his loved ones. Way too young. It's just way too young, and hopefully, it wasn't a mental health type of issue. Just like Coach said, you pray that it was a natural cause, maybe a birth defect that was missed or something of that nature. But obviously, it always hurts whenever you see somebody pass away. And we're, the older I get, the more folks are checking out. Lou Gossett Jr. passed away, and Carl Weathers, guys that you grew up with, that you remember very, very well. I mean, guys are getting out of here, and that's the only thing that's promised to us here is you're going to get out of here at some point in time.
So, Travis, quick question for you. Do you follow the Masters or golf at all?
I do not. I have not followed golf since Tiger Woods got beat up with a golf club.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Just so everybody knows, the Masters golf tournament will take place next week after the Final Four. All right, the only thing I'll say about Vontae Davis is I have an analogy that I've used for a long, long time. Morris had 9 lives. I need to make the most of the one that I have. So rest in peace, Vontae. Hopefully, indeed, from the preliminary reports that if no foul play is suspected, that you'll just simply rest in peace. With that said, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity right now to let you know how to contact you. So, Jeremy, you start off.
Well, you can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. You can also find me on their webpage, southfloridatribune.com, under the Motor City Tribune heading. Because, like Scott, I write for them. There, you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I'm live 8 times a week there, 2 times a week at least here. It is a pleasure to talk sport and interact with the fans like we do. It's an amazing time doing it.
All right, I want to welcome William Carafa to the show. Thank you very much for being a part of this as well. So we want to make sure we acknowledge everybody that we possibly can. With that said, Coach, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can find me here most Tuesday nights. Otherwise, the only form of social media I'm on is LinkedIn. You can find me there. And I'd love to hear from anybody. Thank you for all the questions today.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you very much, Steve. We appreciate your kind words. And yes, it definitely is always growing. And I do what we can to try to make sure the topics are top notch. All right. With that said, we'll turn over to Mel Farr. You got an event coming up really soon. Let everybody know how they can reach you as well.
Yeah, you can reach me on all the social media at Mel Farr Jr., Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram. We also have an event coming up on April 24th up in Detroit for the draft. We're having an NFL pre-draft party. It's going to be pretty nice. A lot of people are going to be there. A lot of celebrities are going to be there. A lot of players, former players, maybe possibly some current players are going to be there. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be on April 24th at 7 p.m. at One Mic 313 up in Detroit. It's a comedy club. We're going to have a comedy show. We're going to have a fashion show and lots of great food and a lot of fun. So looking forward to getting back up there in Detroit and raising some money for the kids down here in Atlanta and also up there in Detroit.
Okay, well, I'll turn over to Travis.
You can find me
Wait,
on all
wait.
the
Mel, Blake has a
Yeah.
question. How can he get tickets?
I can send you the link. I can send you the link for you to get tickets. Just reach out to me on any one of those social media sites, and I'll be more than happy to get you a link. Blake, you're up there in Detroit, I take it?
He's in Texas, but don't worry, he can get around.
Travels good.
Hey, Travis, you know what? You got a fan out here with C, so we got to put that in here first, okay? Travis is sharper than a pencil that just got sharpened. Good points. Look at this, Travis. See, this is a good one here for you, my man. Now you can let everybody know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. You can find me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes, as it says right here. You can find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com. You can find me here every week inside the Pigskin, Tuesdays, the Sports Exchange, the Pundit, wherever they have me rotating. I'm free agent to help them fill whichever slot I'm needed at. And you can also find, if you're interested, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have a podcast, the Duval Dive Jaguars podcast, on Fridays at 11:15 a.m. wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Joshua, just Jeremy gave you the salute, okay? So there you go. You've got it. All right, well, Candy, take it away. Let everybody know how they can reach us and what I've written.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to apologize to everybody. We've been having some technical difficulties tonight. It happens every once in a while, and that's part of the business, and we're just trying to make the best of it. So we do apologize, but thank you for staying tuned in, and all the people that have been in the chat room, thank you so much. You can find Scott's writing, Jeremy's writing, George Eichhorn writes for us at www.southfloridatribune.com. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right hand corner, that means you have not subscribed to us yet, and I do not understand why not, but please hit that red subscribe button. Please also go to all of our other commentators. If they have YouTube channels, go out, find them, subscribe to them as well. Listen to our broadcast anytime, wherever you get your podcast, iHeartRadio, Google, or Apple, any of the places. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott, 954-304-4941. Let's see. You can see if you want to go to the website, www.South Florida Tribune, where you see Scott's writing and Jeremy's writing, you can also see I do dabble with a little photography, so you'll be able to see a picture too. Let's see what else. Oh, most importantly, because I did not talk about this earlier, let me bring up a picture. Scott, Motor City Madmouth, wrote this book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Get your copy today. It is available on Amazon, Kindle, or Barnes & Noble. It's actually available, I believe, on Apple and Google anytime soon. So make sure you go out and get that book. It talks about Scott and his media career and how media has changed over the course of 40 plus years. It has a picture of young Scott with Muhammad Ali, young Scott with young Tommy Lasorda. You name it, you got to go in there and see it. Buy it today. Scott, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, well, those individuals asking for George Eichhorn, he will be on tomorrow night's edition of the Sports Exchange. George Eichhorn generally appears on the Sports Exchange as well as 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, in addition to Pundits. So that should give you that. Yeah, Blake, we're working on the audio book as well, so that is something that we're going to be working on. Do I need to pay, and now Orlando, do I need to pay commission, visit this house about your guys' press passes for the draft or what? You know what? Take that up with the NFL. We're just waiting for our approvals to come through. So,
Amen.
and the NFL right now is very selective in their process about who they want. So, enjoyed the energy in the chat room from everybody that participated. And the one thing I want to add about my book very quickly before we go is I like to talk about the old school versus new school media theme, is what it is, because it has changed over the years. And I will be writing in part 2 on this book later in the year. So I know that there'll be easily a lot of changes that I can add to it. So there you have it. That concludes this edition of Inside the Pigskin. I want to thank Bo for trying to make an effort. Got in one segment anyways. Smoking Jeremy B, as always, we appreciate your contributions. Coach Bono, as always, what can I say? We love you, Coach. You bring some great insights. Melfar Jr., well, what can I say? Been with me forever. Glad to have him. And Travis Holmes is a staple as well. So, yeah, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Doubleheader tomorrow. I'll have Adam Lichtenstein, who works for the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and he'll talk about the Miami Hurricanes. And, of course, we'll have another edition of the Sports Exchange following the Motor City Mad Mouth Show. So on behalf of our great crew and William, thank you very much for being a part of it again. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you next week on Inside the Pigskin. Thank you very much, Steve.